Welcome to Sweethearts or Rivals. I'm Charla.
I'm Justin.
In this video, we're going to be doing another list.
Yep, the top 5 games that I really wanted to buy.
And that I thought were stupid.
Yeah.
Until I played them.
I thought were stupid.
Well, I just didn't want to invest any money on them.
There you go.
That's a better way to say it.
That works.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So,
Yeah.
just start right off.
Yep.
My first one is Oddville.
Oddville. I picked up Oddville for a couple of reasons. One, it was incredibly inexpensive. But it also looked very unique with the cards that you place and got to kind of build this little empire.
Right.
The characters looked interesting. It looked very odd. And there wasn't a whole lot of information about it at the time. So I thought that'd be kind of cool. It just looked kind of neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only thing I knew about it was that Rado and Jen had it on one of their lists that they really liked it.
Yep.
I think like it could have been like favorite 2-player games or something.
Possibly, yeah.
Can't remember. Don't quote me on that. But Justin kept saying, I want to buy Oddville. It's on sale. It's really cheap. And I kept thinking, I don't care how cheap it is. Like, it doesn't look good. Anyway, I finally played it.
Yep.
And I thought it was actually really good.
Yeah, it was a neat game.
Yeah, for a 2-player. And it's really interesting how you make your villages and how the cards all fit together.
Yeah.
And like matching up the crests and stuff with the different, because it gives you different powers and stuff.
Yeah.
I found it really interesting.
Yeah, it's a unique little game.
Yep, and it's interesting how you buy stuff too.
Yep.
That's a different.
Yeah, we haven't played it in a while. Definitely something we gotta get to the table again.
Yeah, because I found it very interesting. It's definitely a game. The more you play, I'm sure the better it's gonna get.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's my number 5.
Oddville.
My number 4 is actually a classic game that I just thought it looked old and boring.
Old and boring.
Pillars of the Earth.
Yeah, Pillars of the Earth.
Yeah. Just take that off. Yeah. And why did you want it?
I'd seen it on a couple of review sites. I know on the Dice Tower they talk about it quite often actually as a really good worker placement game.
Right.
But at the same time, even though it's like an older game and it's worker placement, you're thinking, well, if it's an old worker placement game, it's just got to be basic worker placement. Boring. There's a lot of unique ways and mechanisms that the worker placement is actually done. And then, I don't know why, but there's the great big huge pieces that make the cathedral. And
I don't like that part of it.
And that's how you kind of
it's your round counter.
Yeah, mark the rounds. I think that's just awesome. It looks cool. You're building it right in the middle of the board. It's neat.
To me, that's gimmicky, but I'm a girl.
It would be gimmicky to me if it wasn't like really good quality wood pieces. If it was just like plastic stuff, it would look silly. But I don't know. I like it.
Yeah. So that's why you wanted to buy it so bad.
Yes.
And I had saw, like you said, Tom and Z and Sam talking about it, how it was the greatest game ever. And then we ended up having a chance to get it.
Yeah.
And once I played it, yeah, it was actually way cooler than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Like the worker placement. You think, like you said, like it's an old worker placement game. There's got to be newer games out there that have done it just as good or better.
Yeah.
Right? Because this was released quite a few years ago. But no, it was really cool. And then it's that little piece on the bottom of the board there in the middle where you put your, like there's workers you can send out to collect resources.
Yep.
But then there's that dial thing on the bottom.
Yeah.
I can't exactly remember what it's called but
how
it works is really cool.
Yeah, it's almost like a bidding system. You pull your main workers out, and the first person who gets pulled out of the bag, if it's yours, you can go first, which is powerful, but it means you're going to have to pay. Or you can just say, you know what, no, I don't want to. And you kind of put the guy on that little dial, and then you pull again. So you can either wait for when it's cheaper, or you can go right away and it's expensive, but you get to go first. Right. So there's some interesting choices there.
Yeah. And that made it really interesting for me.
Yeah.
I could do without the cathedral.
Cathedral's awesome.
Oh, maybe if it was pink or something.
It's not pillars of pink.
I would have bought it so fast. But I mean, look at the box cover. It's not a girly box. Anyway,
No.
It doesn't matter.
But
you can't judge a game by the box.
No, you can't.
You shouldn't.
Well, no.
You can.
You can't.
But it's not always accurate.
That's true. That's a good way to put it.
The next game on my list is very heavy.
Here we go.
This was a Kickstarter.
Yep.
And when Justin told me how much it was, I thought, no, let's wait until the retail comes out and see how people like it. But no, I came home from work one day. Oh, I backed Zaya. I'm like, oh, you did. You backed Zaya. Because from the video on the Kickstarter, it did not look cool enough to me.
No?
No.
I even tried to get a bunch of people from the local gaming store to like, hey, let's all just pitch in some money and we'll buy a copy for the store, and that way anyone can go to the store, and that way it's not going to cost us all that much. And a couple of people were interested and not enough were, and I was just going to let it go, and then I was like, nah, I got to get this. This looks amazing. So I backed it, and then I actually found out not too long ago that two people that were going to pitch in, they backed it too. The exact same reaction as me. No, we need to get this game. So the reason I wanted to get it was it looked like a modular board, sandbox game, amazing miniatures, great production values, and it looked like every kind of space trader, piratey, Firefly-ish, Star Wars-ish game you could ever think of, all in one. That's why I wanted it.
Mm-hmm. And to me, when I saw it, the reason that I wasn't interested was I wasn't too keen on how the modular board looked, because I'm a very visual person.
Yeah.
And it seemed like there was just way too much. Like, way too much going on.
Sure.
Even for a sandbox.
Gotcha.
But once I played it, and then you go on some of the missions, and you're doing all this thing, and you're flying your ships around, and, like, there's the other ships that get controlled, too, so they're, like, roaming around the galaxy. It's actually really awesome.
This one thing that I overlooked when I was backing it was the fact that it is a 3 to 5 player game. And we don't buy games usually that are 3 players only type thing.
Yeah.
We need a 2-player game that is good.
Well, there's a 2-player variant.
Yeah.
And it seems to work just fine.
It does, but it really, like when you can play 3 players,
with 3 or more, yeah.
And one of the big things, just you got that D20 that you're rolling that seems really random, and it is, but it's just fun.
Yeah.
And it happens to everybody, so at no point you're like, I am so far behind, I'm never going to win. I mean, it could possibly happen, but it happens to everyone a couple of times, so it keeps it nice and balanced.
Yeah.
Yep. Zaya.
Yep. I have way more fun playing it than I thought I would.
Nice.
And it looks like a boy game.
It looks like a boy game.
So, the next one on my list. Oh, right.
Oh.
Right.
Okay. I don't know what that means, but sure.
Kind of a 2-game scenario, because there was a sale at our local game store, and all of a sudden one day Justin just comes home with a game. Oh, look what I got! It was 30% off. Istanbul.
Yep.
And another game that was in the same boat that I had absolutely no interest in, and he's like, oh, look what I got! It was 30% off at the local game store. Serenissima. In the same boat. See what I did there?
Yep. I saw that. Yep.
So, Serenissima is a pick-up and delivery game with cool little boats.
Yep.
And then you're kind of building up your city and your trade routes, which is cool. And Istanbul, well, a lot of people must know about it because it was like one of the
Spiel des Jahres.
Last year or something.
Yep. Yeah. So you didn't want them?
Yeah, I had no interest in either one of them.
Okay.
Did you have interest in either one of these before you saw they were 30% off at the local game store?
Yes.
Okay.
I do remember watching a review on Serenissima, And this was very, very, very early into when we were getting into board games. And we didn't have a lot of different kinds of games. At this point, we weren't really into, pick up and delivery and, that set collection. We didn't really know a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I just saw an interesting game with a really cool front cover that looks like you're blowing ships out of the water, which you don't actually do a lot of in the game.
No.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the cover didn't help
Serenissima I got because it looked very interesting and unique in the way it's pick up and delivery. Because you're not picking up and delivering goods, you're picking up and delivering trade routes of goods. And if you can get your boats to different cities and deliver those routes, they're good, nobody else can deliver to there. So that's very unique. The other unique thing is the amount of people you have in your boat determines how fast it can go.
Right.
But the more people in your boat and the faster it goes, the less room for cargo. So there's that unique kind of balancing act.
Those tough decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, just it's straight up pick up and delivery, but with some unique twists to it, which is kind of neat.
Yeah.
And enjoyed enough that we even pimped out our game a little bit.
Yeah, we did. It was the first game we kind of we should get extra special
stuff
meeples or whatever.
Well, there's 5 major cities that you can start off with, but it's only a 4-player game. So there's actually a 5th city that could be a 5th player starting spot. So we actually got components enough for a 5th player. So now our Serenissima is 2 to 5 players. Right. And then there's these little...
It does make the game overly complicated, though.
It's not too bad.
Crowded, I should say.
Yeah. Crowded's good. And then there are the little discs for when you build either a fortress
or a
basilica. And I lost one of our basilica pieces down a furnace, which sucked. So we got little wooden discs instead, so that makes it look nicer too.
Yeah. Yep. And I ended up liking it because of the puzzle. Like he was saying, the more people you have in the boat, the faster it can travel, but then you can hold less. And then the whole trying to balance out how to get all your cities filled up with the trade routes.
Yeah. And it's really, really quick. Like, because this was like one of the games that we were just getting into, we were looking for longer games. So we actually came up with house rules to make the game last longer. I think nowadays, playing it, we would stick to the regular rules because it makes it a quick game. Right. Which is kind of nice.
Easier to get on the table.
Yeah. Istanbul, why did you not want that?
I didn't want it because it just looked kind of odd and abstract-y to me. Yeah. Like, it didn't pique my interest at all. And I kept thinking, that doesn't look fun, and what's the big deal about it?
I had no interest in running out and buying Istanbul at all. And then it was on sale for an extremely good price locally, so there was no shipping. And it had that kind of spiel des jahres, like, what's so special about it?
Yeah, that shine it gets when it wins an award,
And so that's why I picked it up. It was an impulse buy. It's like, that's cheap, let's get it so we can at least check it out and perhaps do a review on it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and I ended up liking it because it's a puzzle of... It's hard to explain it, I think, on camera, and maybe that's another reason I didn't like it, because all the reviews I watched on it, I couldn't wrap my mind around how they were trying to explain it. So yeah, that could have been an issue for me. Yeah. But once I did play it, and then I finally understood it, and then that puzzle on how you travel around the board. Yeah. And how you drop people off to collect things, and then do you, like, backtrack a little bit and pick your people up? Or should you go to the fountain and collect all the people there, like congregate all there and then start over again? And then the resource collection and the resource management to gain, like, it's a great puzzle. Yeah. Plus, another reason that it fascinates me is all the games I have ever played so far, which have been quite a few, I have not won a game yet. So now it's a quest for me. I need to play this. I need to learn how to play this game better. I need to at least win one time.
It's... what makes it really work well is, for me, is a couple things. One, that puzzle is a very spatial puzzle. So you need to be like, I've got 4 or 5 helpers. I can't remember how many you have. You got so many workers, and that's how many things you'll be able to do before you're going to need to reset. And you can go 1 or 2 jumps for each of those. So it's this really, really like looking 5 steps ahead to figure out what you can do in the most efficient way so you're not wasting any of your turns.
Right. And then the most horrible thing is once you've got that all figured out and on your opponent's next turn, they block you because you can't stop in the section that your opponent is in unless you pay them.
Yeah.
And money is so tight that you never want to give your opponent extra money easily. Although
it is nice that you can still go there.
Yeah, it's true. But
you're not completely blocked off like a worker placement, which is nice.
But I'm a player where I'm not going to give another player something that's mine that I worked for. Maybe that's why I never win.
I don't know, maybe.
I should try a new strategy.
There you go. So there's not only that like spatial puzzle of looking of where you need to go, but at the same time, you have to have like an end goal. I need to get this many resources so that I can get this condition to get a gem.
Right.
Because you're not getting points in this game whatsoever. You're just, whoever gets those gems first wins.
Right.
Which is awesome because not enough games do that where points are not what you're going for. I think more games should be striving to have some kind of victory condition that has nothing to do with points. Anyway, so there's the 2 kind of looking way far ahead, how do I reach this goal, and then working backwards. There's the spatial puzzle and the resource puzzle layered on top of each other, which is really unique.
Yeah.
And plus, there's no board. There's just a whole bunch of things that you can put in a whole bunch of different configurations. So you can just keep playing it over and over and over again.
Yeah, there's quite a few different setups you can use.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was way better than I thought it was going to be.
Awesome. And we got a really good price for it.
Yeah.
It was also a really banged up box, but what can you do?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So
next. I'll consult my secret list.
Okay.
On my awesome clipboard.
Okay.
And the number 1 game that I thought was going to be... I was minusculely interested in it.
Minusculely.
But Justin kept just saying, I need it. I need this game. This is the one I want. It's going to be so cool.
Is it a big one?
It's big and heavy.
I know what it is.
It's Hyperborea.
Yep.
I want to show you the cover, but stop. Hyperborea.
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 Hyperborea. There you go.
And, I mean, the hype around this game was just so hyper. I was just like, whatever, buy it if you need it. Why'd you want it so bad?
Hyperborea. I almost said Hyperborea. Thank you. Gonna do that from now on. Hyperborea is this incredibly unique blend where it looks like an Amerithrashy area control, beat up your friend, roll lots of dice, special powers type game with a modular board that you can't see until you get close enough and start flipping the tiles over. That's unique and interesting. Except all the mechanisms that control how everything works are all Euro-style mechanisms. And plus it's also a cube builder. So instead of a deck builder where you're building your civilization with a deck of cards and putting more cards in there, you have a bag with certain color cubes. Each of the cubes' color represents a different aspect of your society. And then as you're doing all these cool things, you're adding more cubes to the bag, which means your civilization is going to be more focused on that ability. So that was very intriguing because when you get into a highly thematic Amerithrash game and a lot of it depends on random die rolls, that frustrates me a lot. Unless there's a lot of really awesome ways to mitigate that luck, I find it frustrating. Whereas this, it's just gone. You get the cubes, and the cubes, you figure out what you can do with them, and then you just do it, and it's done. So I like that idea. You didn't want to get it.
I didn't want to get it at all, and I even had watched like several reviews on it.
Oh, yes.
Which, I mean, I saw the part with the cube building, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
And then how you use your cubes on your player board. I was really into that. But that modular board with those stupid plastic pieces, I thought, I don't want another game like that. Like, you see the modular board, you see the plastic pieces. Your mind only goes one place. I don't want another game like that. We already have some.
Okay.
Anyway.
Makes sense.
So, once I played it, those plastic pieces on the modular board really are not the focus of the game.
No.
It really is on your player board, and then the special cards that you buy.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, you do move around the board to do things, but it's not the only thing. Like,
yeah,
that's not what drives the game for me.
And if that was kind of your thing, that could drive the game.
It could, yes.
Like, there's so many kind of different paths to victory for this game that you can choose a number of different strategies.
Right.
Which is awesome.
And that's what helps me like the game.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I remember watching a review, and the first time I ever saw anything on this, I wanted it really badly. It's like, oh, I need to get that game. And then you're like, I don't want it. And so we watched some more stuff, and I was like, okay, maybe there's a couple issues with it. And every time I would come to the point where it was like, well, you know what? You're right. We have games like that we don't play that often. Maybe we shouldn't get it. And then maybe a couple days would pass, and I would find myself looking for more reviews to like watch more.
To try to convince me.
I even read some like written reviews, which I don't usually do. I like to see that video.
Yeah.
And I just kept coming back to it, even if it like I've watched stuff on this that you haven't, that I didn't even wait for you because I just kept coming back to it. So I was like, I'm getting a game for my birthday. It's this one. I'm just getting it, even if you hate it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is the number one on my list, most fun game.
Yeah.
That you bought that I ended up really liking in the end.
Yeah.
Because it's really cool.
Yep. I want to do a review on this, except I want to play it a lot more because it's very bizarre in how when you're playing it, it seems like it could be wildly unbalanced. And yet at the same time, most of our games, especially after we've played it a couple times, now that we really know what we're doing, most of our games are very, very close in points.
You might know what you're doing. I'm still like just average.
Well, our points are still very close.
Well, it's good.
Yeah. So it's weird. It looks like it could be wildly unbalanced, and yet it doesn't seem to shake out that way. So, yeah, we still need to do a couple more plays before I feel comfortable enough to give a really in-depth review of it. Exactly. But at the same time, even if it is wildly unbalanced, I still love playing it. Like, I'm like, hey, what are we playing tonight? Let's play Hyperborea. Again? Yeah.
Yeah, it is good.
Yeah.
Like,
I really have fun with it. Cool. Hyperborea! Awesome game.
And the cover art is really awesome.
Yep.
But I found that unbalanced with what you get in the box, too, and it kind of turned me off. But it doesn't matter now.
Yeah.
I really like the game.
Cool. Alright. So that's your top 5 games that I really wanted that you didn't, but now you like.
Right.
Okay.
Or love. Because, like, the top of the list, I really like it.
Good.
Even if that didn't come across.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good.
So, there are also 2 games on my list that you making me watch all these reviews on actually convinced me that, yep, we should buy that.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
What's the first one?
The first one is actually Quantum.
Quantum. Nice.
Yep. And it's funny when I look at the 2 games, and I'll say it after I say the second title, but they have stuff in common.
Okay.
So the reason I didn't want to get Quantum was it's just the look of the game. There's tiles and dice, and you're moving dice around a board.
Yep.
And I couldn't comprehend as to why that would make a good game.
It's very minimalistic.
Right.
To the point of almost being abstract.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the review that did it for me to buy or want to buy the game was those nice guys that be quiet and take your seat.
Oh, yeah. Shut up and sit down.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I say it like that because in our area, shut up is it's not a nice thing to say. I used to get in a lot of trouble for saying that.
Really? Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I wanted to get Quantum. It intrigued me, and it was actually the same review that we watched that, okay, I really need to get this game. And, yeah, that's why I wanted it. It seemed very unique. And it was actually a little bit kind of like Hyperborea, where the theme and concept of it was very like, long pause for some odd reason, almost very Amerithrashy, where it's like spaceships and battle and rolling dice and killing each other off and big starship models, except very, very streamlined rules that make it borderline abstract. And very cool ones. Yeah. That's kind of what drew me to it.
And you know what? Now that I'm thinking of it, like when I look at the cover, I'm like, ooh, that's a cool looking game. And then when you like click on view pictures of the game, and it's like these tiles and those dice, and I was like, well, that doesn't look cool at all. And then once you play it, there's this great puzzle on like moving your dice around and trying to maximize because your dice are your spaceships, trying to maximize your spaceships and figure out what special abilities to get them where they need to be, to get your little quantum cubes out. It's a great puzzle. Yeah. Kind of like the chess I always wanted to play.
Nice. Yeah. And it's very quick. And it's not difficult to learn how to play, but all the things you can do, there's lots of choices and strategies. So it's not a complex game in terms of rules, but there's like a depth of complexity there. And then of course all the cards or upgrades or powers are very powerful, which is really good. So it shifts the game drastically, and yet at the same time it is like a super quick game. Yeah.
Yeah, it is super quick, which is nice.
And every time we played it, it's been really close.
Play a couple games like right after each other.
Yeah. Cool. Quantum.
Yeah. So the other one that you convinced me to get by watching a whole bunch of reviews is Alien Frontiers.
Alien Frontiers. Nice.
And the review that did it for me was actually Rahdo's review, and he had those cutest little purple planet things.
Oh, instead of the little wooden dome, it was the plastic
encapsulated the city
colony. It's a little plastic with
And when I was looking at these two games, they're kind of similar. Like they both use the dice for spaceships, so it's just kind of like, meh. You see this awesome, cool cover art, and then you look at the picture on the back, and you're like, well, that doesn't look very cool for a girl.
I think it looked awesome.
Yeah, but you're a boy, so it's different. But then once I played it, once I saw that review and those cute little domes, and then like really it grabbed my interest and found out and finally figured out, because that was another thing, like from other things I watched, I couldn't really grasp how the game would work. And then it seemed really cool. Yeah,
it is. It's a great game. I like it. We actually picked up Euphoria before we got Alien Frontiers, and in Euphoria you have those dice, and they represent kind of your workers, and depending on what numbers come up is what you can do. So when I heard that Alien Frontiers has a very similar kind of, you roll the dice and that's what you can do, I thought, that's cool, we should get that. It's a cool theme, but it plays radically different. It has points, but when somebody gets something to gain points, it usually means taking away something from you, which means you lose points. So as you're playing the game, everyone's shifting up and down this track, and it kind of, there's a lot of back and forth, which I usually don't like, but here works really well.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. And yes, having the upgrade pack or a later edition that comes with the upgraded components really helps bring the theme through, because those little colonies with the clear plastic dome, cute. They do look really cool. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a really excellent game.
And purple helps. Yeah. Pretty colors always help.
There you go.
I can't help it. I'm so visual. I like the cuteness.
Yeah. There you go.
We all know that.
Yep.
I'm not ashamed to say it.
Not at all.
So, yeah, that's my list.
Excellent. It's a good list.
I like it.
So do I. That's why I wanted to get them in the first place.
There you go. So, that was our list video.
Yep.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks.
We'll see you next time.
Laters. episode.